Everyone, Father Jared coming to you. Over the past few weeks, we've been kind of doing some reflection, catechesis on the Mass, and this week, it's my great joy, I'm really excited about this, to announce that beginning August 15th at Holy Angels, at the 11 a.m. Mass, we will begin having one Mass of our 4 Sunday Masses, including the Saturday Vigil, so one of the 4 weekend Masses that we have here, will be celebrated ad orientem, that is, at the high altar. Now, the reason for doing this and what kind of brought this all on is because, well, we had some Masses on a regular basis. Every Saturday morning we have Mass ad orientem, and then also for some of our bigger Masses like Holy Thursday, Pentecost, Corpus Christi, we already had Mass ad orientem, and people really responded well, and some people asked, well, Father, can we do that more? Can we make that a more regular thing? And it was kind of gnawing at me, and then just, kind of began to realize that this seems to be a place where a number of our parishioners are at, and so I'm looking forward to offering this opportunity on a weekly basis now at Sunday Mass. So moving forward, and why are we doing this? So what are kind of the reasons? So I just mentioned one of them, or that was kind of the thing that got it all moving forward. So after prayerfully discerning that for a while, because it was really kind of gnawing at me, and the Lord kept on bothering me in prayer for a while. But like theologically, so the biggest reason why we're doing this is because ad orientem has a special pride of place within the Church for indicating what really happens at Mass. It is that we go to heaven. So just as Moses went up the mountain, to pray for the Israelites, so too the priest, whenever you see him go up to the high altar, you see him going up to speak face to face with God. So first I speak face to face with God, and then I bring back, not the law as Moses did, but instead the Eucharist. And so going up to the high altar is an indication that there's a meeting between heaven and earth, and that I bring all of your prayers with me to the altar. Now this happens at every other Mass as well, but this is just kind of a more visible sign that that's what's happening. So it's not a way of distancing, but instead a way of uniting my heart with yours and facing God himself, facing God the Father, praying in the person of Jesus Christ, and to more perfectly bring that prayer up to him and to make that a very visual connection between how the Mass is offered and what's truly happening there. And so that's one reason, because we go up to the high altar, we go up to heaven, and Mass is the meeting place between heaven and earth. So that's reason one. Reason two, it is a valid option. So I've sometimes heard people say, well, Vatican II did away with Mass, ad orientem. False. In fact, Vatican II never said anything about changing the orientation, and Sacrosanctum Concilium, Vatican II's document on the liturgy, nothing was ever said about changing the orientation of Mass from what it had been for over almost 2 millennia at that point. And so what that shows to us is that the Church still sees this as a valid option. And so what is valid and what the Church says is okay, we are not to call evil or bad. So that's one. So that's second reason, not number one, second reason. So reason number 3 is there are a lot of our young families here that truly do desire more traditional worship. They've expressed their desire to have Mass ad orientem, and people from my generation have really felt this kind of longing within our hearts for a return to some of the traditions of the Church that have been lost over the past 50 years, because we've been left without a lot of that, and so we have found a lot of meaning, a lot of spiritual fruit in it. And so if we want to make Holy Angels a place that's welcoming for young families, for those who desire to follow our Lord, desire to practice their faith, desire to raise their children in the faith, then I think this is a logical step for us to make worship, make coming to some Sunday Mass at Holy Angels something that welcomes those families that desire to have Mass ad orientem, desire to have more traditional worship. So I really want to emphasize that and really want to kind of drive that point home, that this is actually a move in the direction of youth to kind of practice that preferential option for the youth in our parish. And so that's another reason why we're doing this. And then, so how will this work? So beginning August 15th, we'll have the 11 a.m. Mass, but then moving forward, unless it's otherwise indicated in my bulletin article, if I say it'll be at 11 a.m. because we have a Eucharistic procession after Mass or for some other reason, I'll let you know of that in the week before bulletin article. But for the most part, ad orientem Mass will always be, or Mass celebrated ad orientem will always be at the 9:15 a.m. So on Sunday morning. So that's the Mass that will typically be celebrated in that fashion. So that's one. Now, does this mean the whole Mass will be at the high altar? No. So everything will be as it normally is, up until after the petitions, and then instead of preparing the main altar, the high altar will be prepared. So that's when we'll first go up there, and then Mass will take place at the high altar until we come down for distribution of Holy Communion, and we'll go back out to purify vessels, and then the closing prayer and everything, announcements and the blessing will all take place from the priest's chair as it typically does. So really about 10-15 minutes of Mass will be at the high altar. So that's just one thing to note about that. So I mean, that's just some rather important things to remember with all of that. And also there's a lot more regions. So reach back here, nice little sheet that we have included in our bulletin this week. Just kind of list some of the fruits, some witnesses from some of our parishioners about how they found Adorantum Mass to be fruitful. And so just ask all of you, I know that there's been, like a lot of feelings around these sort of things within liturgy, but I want everyone to know that this is being done with the whole parish in mind, and that I do love each and every one of you, even if you disagree with me, even if you don't like this decision of mine. I think it is the right thing to do. It does come from a place of prayer. It does come from a place of care and fatherly love for each and every one of you. And so please do know that that's where this is coming from. And so just if you have your concerns or your questions, you can bring those to me. I'm usually pretty transparent. So just want to offer that all to you. And again, want to assure each and every one of my parishioners, I do love you very much, and hope that each and every one of you have a blessed weekend. And I look forward to offering this opportunity to all of you in a couple of weeks. God bless and have a great weekend.